potential for a new corn mill came to town. Well, that was until the citizens there learned about who the company was associated with. Fox's own Kevin Corke is here on the latest CCP incursion into America's heartland. Kevin.
Laura, very interesting story indeed. We're talking about a Chinese food manufacturer, Fufeng, and that group bought about 300 acres of land near Grand Forks, North Dakota, setting up a wet milling plant. However, that's only part of the story. The other part is this. That project is located roughly 20 minutes from the Grand Forks Air Force Base. That's raising a lot of national security concerns, as you can well imagine. In fact, so much so that both the Democratic chairman and the ranking Republican member of the Senate Intelligence Committee have expressed opposition to this project. Now, here's what we're talking about. Grand Forks Air Force Base is home to some of the nation's most sensitive military drone technology. The base is also home of a new space networking center, which a North Dakota senator has said handles the backbone of all U.S. military communications across the globe. The mayor of Grand Forks, the other side of this, Brandon Buczynski, says, look, I just want to do business. He says the proposed $700 million plant would create more than 1,000 construction jobs and 200 direct job opportunities. But not everybody's buying it. Florida's Marco Rubio said this: it is dangerous, foolish, and short-sighted to allow the Chinese Communist Party and its proxies to purchase land near U.S. military installations. This is something we must address. Now, I mentioned half the story. There's also this part. A lot of the residents of Grand Forks, Laura, are none too pleased with the prospect of a Chinese conglomerate setting up shop. We've seen anti-communism signs popping up in yards across the city, fiery city council meetings, and even thousands of signatures on a petition to call for a citywide vote. Pitchforks and torches, my friend. Back to you.
Oh. Wow, Kevin, thank you so much for that update on a fascinating story. We're going to dig into it. Beth Waldeck is a retired teacher and a former Christian radio host in Grand Forks. She joins us now. Beth, now, you think your city council has been sold, what, a bill of goods by Fufeng? Now, explain why. And why wouldn't this be great? It would bring in jobs to the community that, your community could use. So what's the problem?
My initial thought was that they were being sold a bill of goods, Laura, because I think they, they were being told, hey, we're going to bring jobs to your area, we're going to increase agricultural production in your area, and if you know anything about North Dakota, we're an agricultural state. The thing is, you can grow everything you want in North Dakota to make a pizza. So, so we depend on agriculture, and we do so in our area, and we have many farmers in our area. But I think it's become more nefarious than that with our city council, to be quite honest with you. As we dig deeper into it ourselves as citizens, we're finding out that things aren't as above board as they would like us to believe.
Now, here's Fufeng's U.S. Chief Operating Officer named Eric Chitarash on this proposed deal. Watch.
We're under U.S. laws. I'm an American citizen. I grew up my whole life here, and I'm not going to be doing any type of espionage activities or be associated with a company that does.
That's believable. Beth,
I think it's strangely naive.
Yeah, well, I guess what Marco Rubio and others are saying is we're just going to take his word for it, because, of course, everybody who's involved with the Chinese, and this happened with TikTok, they're going to say, well, of course we're not going to have anything. But even if he didn't, China has its hooks into this company, and it's an agricultural company at a time where we're concerned about potential problems with the food supply in the United States. That's another concern that I know you have and some of your fellow citizens have.
My response back to him was, do you think they're going to ask? They're not going to come in and say, hey, while we're building this factory here, you don't mind if we do a little spying on the side, do you? They just they don't operate that way. They just do it. That's the way any enemy operates. You don't ask for permission to infiltrate your enemy's backyard. You just do it.
When you contact the city council, Beth, and I know people have, well, what do they say? What's their response?
They say that there's no national security concern. They've told us repeatedly that Air Force officials at the base have raised no concerns. They've told us that they have properly vetted the Fufeng Corporation and they see no problem with it, which it simply isn't true. They did a Google search. That was their vetting process of the company. And we know now, as you said, we have bipartisan support in the Senate now that opposes this factory or anything like it that is being controlled and run by the CCP not to come anywhere in America, and particularly within miles of an Air Force base that has
Beth,
the mission that we do.
Yeah, we really appreciate your speaking out. You know, the voices of regular people who live in these communities have to be heard in Yours Word Tonight. Yours Word Tonight. Thank you, Beth.
They do.
We won the Cold War.